Yes, yes, children. Good morning. Okay, back to our class for the next. Of course, the last topics of this lesson. Yes, that is from trade to territory. Until now, the last class we observed about the arrival of British East India Company to India, the disputes between the local rulers and East India Company, and then the expansion, that is asserting of the power, political power of East India Company in India, that is on Indian territories, and expansion. And of course, the completion of the expansion with the LOC by utilizing or by imposing the doctrine of lapse. So, how it has completed, about that we learned in last class. Now, about administration, setting up a new administration, because until then, before East India Company's political authority or power in India, the India was before under Mughal Empire for few centuries. After that, it was split into number of small kingdoms or territories under different dynasties or the rulers. So all of these administrative systems were different from one to another. Okay, but now this has come under one government, that is one company, that is East India Company. So they have introduced an administration system which is convenient for them. So how what it is and how that we have got here. The first Governor General, Warren Hastings, who was as the Governor General of India between 1773 to 1785. Okay, so of course he had a very important role in establishment and expansion of British East India Company, the power of East India Company in India. Okay, and in his period, right, the authority of East India Company expanded from Bengal to Madras and as well as to Bombay. So, as headquarters of these three, Bengal, of course now we call it as Bengal, and Madras, the present in Chennai, and Bombay or now Mumbai. So, these three were declared as an presidencies, as we call today as states. The area or the regions which are under the control of direct control of British East India Company were divided into three territories or called as a presidencies, that is Bengal Presidency, Madras and Bombay Presidencies. And these were administered or ruled by the governors. Okay, and head of all this, that is superior to all these territories or the presidencies, were termed as a Governor General of India. So like that, the Warren Hastings was identified or recognized as the first Governor General of India. Okay, and he has introduced a new administrative system or the reforms in India, and as per him in 1772, okay, the new system of justice was introduced, that is criminal justice system or the criminal courts and civil courts. Criminal courts in sense Fauzdari Adalat and civil courts are Diwan Adalats. Okay, so like this, the justice or the judiciary was divided into two sections in 1772. Okay, and in this system, the Maulvis and Pandits, Maulvis also the priests in Islam and Hindu Pandits, these help to the district collectors, okay, and observing, administering the judiciary and in giving judgments and everything, but particularly that become possible only in the issue of civil courts or Diwani Adalats. Okay, and still that criminal courts or Fauzdari Adalats were looked after by the Qazis or Muftis. Qazi is a judge and Mufti is Mufti means a member of a jury. Okay, the persons who can look after or observe the judgments and everything of a Qazi are called as a Mufti. Okay, so that was, but And here, when we observe, there was a problem in interpreting or in judgments, giving judgments, the issue of Hindus or Hindu cases, because there were different local laws, okay, which were interpreted by the Brahman Pandits based on Hindu Dharma Shastras. Okay, from one area to another area, from one region to another region, there were some differences because of the local conditions or the cultural and communities, right? So, to avoid this difficulty, the East India Company arranged a group of members with the 11 Pandits, an organization or a group with the 11 Pandits to prepare a common law or a code of laws, right, to interpret the cases and to give judgments. Okay, that is in 1775 they arranged a group of members with 11 Pandits, okay, to prepare a common code of law. Okay, and this was translated because they may be prepared that in local languages. Okay, so for the convenience of Britishers, this was translated by N.B. Alhad. Okay, he has translated that common code of laws of Hindus into English, and the same way in 1778 also the Muslims also prepared a common laws for the convenience of district collectors, because these courts were supervised and administered by the district collector, right? And as per Regulating Act of 1773, the East India Company also arranged a common court for all its territories of that is for the remaining 3 presidencies also, like in Bengal, Madras and Bombay. So that is called as a Supreme Court, okay, or Southern Nizamat Adalat. Okay, like that the Supreme Court was first established in Calcutta, in Bengal, right? So this is common court for all the people in 3 presidencies, right? And here under their administration, here the district collector is the superior or the important administrator of that particular district. All the conditions, all the administrative blocks will work under him. It may be law and order, collecting the revenues. Okay, so remaining or even the interpretation of the codes and everything will work under the district collector. So he is the superior or superpower for the district. And of course, collector in sense we can understand that he is the person who will take initiate in collecting the revenue or the income from that particular district. And then army, company army. Okay, of course we are learned about the different methods or the policies what when the government, the East India Company was introduced to annex the Indian territories in India, but its main strength was its military forces. Okay, but even they also have what type of military or army they maintain in India. So when we observe before that, actually the Mughal dynasty, their army system was divided into 2 categories as a Sawars and infantry. By the Sawars in sense the soldiers who can ride the horses, okay, and infantries who can fight on foot, that is Paidal. Okay, so these are the 2 main sects or sections or the branches of their army forces, and they were trained in archery and use of sword, right? Even the Sawars should be experts in use of sword and even archeries while riding. So this is actually the main strength of the Mughal army forces. Okay, but for long time they were not concentrated mostly on infantry. That means they were not specially maintained any trained soldiers in their Paidal or infantry forces, because the local peasants, normally everywhere the local peasants were armed forces. They used them only as an armed forces because they have enough training in that, and the local jamindars can maintain them. And whenever there is a need to Mughal emperor, so these people will enter, means involved in that war or battlefield and support the Mughal rulers. Okay, so that is the reason they were not mostly concentrated on infantry. Means there was no any particular training for the Paidal forces or soldiers. Okay, but from 18th century there was some changes. Okay, after this the Mughal successors of Awadh and Banaras. Okay, so they started providing enough training for even the infantry or the Paidal soldiers also. Okay, so by observing this, the East India Company also adopted the same system. They also started giving the training for the foot soldiers. Okay, and they called them as a sepoy. Okay, which has originated from the Indian term sepoy, right? So, like these sepoys or the foot soldiers, so they also maintain a large number of these sepoys in their army forces. And but again, when we observe from the early 19th century, that is in 1820s, when the England was in war with Burma, Afghanistan and Egypt, here the armed forces mostly used the muskets and matchlocks. Muskets are heavy guns which are used by the infantry, and matchlocks also the guns in which they used the gunpowder to ignite this. So these were maintained by the foot soldiers. So that is the reason even the British East India Company also started giving importance for the foot soldiers or the infantry in their armed forces. Okay, and then gradually in the same period, meanwhile, the East India Company wanted to give a common or a uniform training for all soldiers which were recruited from India. Okay, even the Indian maybe peasants or the rural people, right? So they wanted to give a European style of training. So in this, all the army forces or the soldiers are considered equal, same. Okay, so they will be given the same costumes, same training, same food, everything will be provided, and they have to live together in barracks. But when it comes to India, so here the cultural conditions and social conditions are absolutely different comparatively with the European world. So here, because mainly in India, caste system and community dominates. Okay, the people never ready to lose their caste or community, so that becomes a major problem. Okay, when we observe and when you observe this in details, of course we may learn about this, and the main cause behind the 1857, okay, the first freedom struggle. So in that the become as a major issue of this only. Okay, that we learn in later classes, but here the children, we are completing our lesson, second lesson, that is from trade to territory. But you must read the textbook. Without reading textbook, you may not understand perfectly. So read the textbook properly and follow the. We are also providing you the fair notes. Note it down in a separate notebook. Don't write in your assignments notes. Okay, that is different and this is different. So how you write normally the fair notes, in the same way you maintain separate books for different subjects like in history, geography and civics. Right? We are giving notes, that also you note it down. Don't delay. Don't. Okay, be careful. All the best.